Welcome to Nowadays. We are going to have a look on today's news relevant for various competitive exams. Subscribe our channel for daily news and don't forget to click on bell icon. Now we have a look on Union Budget 2019-20. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, country's first full-time woman finance minister, in her maiden budget sought to tackle several pain points in the economy through incremental steps rather than opting for the spectacular announcement route. It includes 70,000 crore capital infusion in banks that will spur lending to growth sector in the economy. The budget has sought to address the problems that have plagued the non-banking finance companies spaces over the last few months and the consequent credit freeze and loss of confidence in the market. She has comprehensively addressed the important issues of liquidity, solvency and poor governance in the NBFC sector. She has made available a liquidity window of 1 lakh crore to public sector banks through the Reserve Bank of India to buy pooled assets of NBFCs and offered one-time credit guarantee for first loss of up to 10%. To enable better supervision of the sector, housing finance companies, which have been the main villains of the piece, will come under the RBI's regulatory ambit. These are the important reforms measures for NBFCs. More interesting is the move towards reviving development financial institution. The big problem faced by NBFC financing infrastructure is the lack of long-term funding sources to match their lending tenure. This pushed them into borrowing short-term funds to lend to long-term projects, leading to asset-liability mismatches. The proposal to set up a committee to study the issue, including the experience with the development finance institution, is welcome. She noted that the Reserve Bank of India has only limited regulatory authority over NBFCs, adding that steps will now be taken to strengthen the RBI in this regard. Housing finance companies will henceforth be regulated by the RBI. A bank overdraft facility of 5,000 for women members of self-help groups. The first budget of the second Modi government appeared to be of a continuum of the last with an emphasis on social welfare. This includes a bank overdraft facility of 5,000 for women members of self-help groups and an identification with the poor. The hike in the allocation for women 10%, the scheduled caste 30% and the scheduled tribes 25% is an important pointer to the government's priorities, one that is again full of political signaling. Higher income tax on riches. Income between 2 crore and 5 crore and 5 crore and above have been hit with a hike in surcharge. Surcharge on individuals having taxable income from 2 crore to 5 crore and 5 crore and above, so that effective tax rate for these categories will increase by around 3% and 7% respectively. According to the government, this increase in the surcharge is expected to earn the government an additional 12,000 crore a year. Declaration that government is willing to allow its stake to fall below 51% in non-financial PSUs, public sector units. There are several reforms measures that have been announced, but the most interesting is the reiteration of the government's commitment to strategic disinvestment and the declaration that it is willing to allow its stake to fall below 51% in non-financial PSUs. The budget document said the government is considering, in case where the undertaking is still to be retained in the government's control, to go below 51% to an appropriate level on a case-to-case basis. It has also decided that 51% of government control will be calculated after including the stake owned by government-controlled institution. For saying example, if this proposal is passed without modification, the government can reduce its shareholding in PSUs to say 40% from 51%, with the remaining 11% being owned by the LIC or any other government-controlled institution. The reasoning behind this move was to open up the market to small retail investors. Another important move is that it will finally provide a relief for startups from the undue pain of the angel tax. Startups can heave a sigh of relief as the angel tax is practically off the table. To encourage startups in the country, Finance Minister announced a series of measures for the sector, including easing of much debated angel tax. Now the startups who file requisite declaration will not be subject to any kind of scrutiny in respect of valuation of share premiums. Angel tax is applicable to unlisted companies that have raised capital through sale of shares at a value above their fair market value. This excess capital is treated as income and taxed accordingly. This tax predominantly affects startups and the angel investments that they attract. In addition, special administrative arrangements shall be made by Central Board of Direct Tax for pending assessment of startups and redressal of their grievance. The minister said that it will be ensured that no inquiry or verification in such case can be carried out by the assessing officer without obtaining approval of his or her supervisory officer. Now Aadhaar can be interchanged with the PAN for filing tax returns. The government seems to be moving towards a single identity card for the citizen in the form of Aadhaar, which will now be interchangeable with the PAN card. Taxpayers do not have a PAN card can file returns quoting their Aadhaar number, which effectively can be a substitute for PAN in all transactions. The Union Budget 2019-20 has proposed to make Aadhaar interchangeable with PAN, thereby allowing people without PAN to file income tax returns using only their Aadhaar cards. The Finance Minister proposed allotting Aadhaar to non-resident Indians arriving in India on an expedited basis. While it is proposed to make Aadhaar interchangeable with PAN to enable those without PAN to file tax return, the Income Tax Department shall allot PAN to such person on the basis of Aadhaar after obtaining demographic data from the Unique Identification Authority of India. In other words, if you do not have a PAN and want to file income tax return, you can do so, but you will still be allotted a PAN. Those who have already linked their PAN with their Aadhaar can choose which ID they want to use while filing taxes. A proposed tax holiday for developers of affordable housing and an additional reduction of up to 1.5 lakh for interest on home loans borrowed up to March 31st, 2020. The next is budget to boost the investment rate by a number of growth promoting initiatives. The initiatives includes first one is the government proposes to access global investors by floating sovereign bonds denominated in external currency. This will ease pressure on domestic savings and interest rates, which will eventually facilitate an effective transmission of a repo rate reduction to lending rates. Second is the government has come up with a clear focus on Make in India, where the emphasis will now be on relatively limited sectors such as MSMEs, startups, defense manufacturing, automobiles, and electronics. Third one is the government aims to invite global investors for setting up mega manufacturing plants to bring in advanced technology in electric vehicles, electronics, and other related areas. The fourth is the burden of NPAs on the banking sector is likely to ease with a budget capital infusion of 70,000 crore. Another one is e-assessment of tax return. Another reform measure is the introduction of faceless e-assessment of tax return taken up for scrutiny. This will eliminate the scope for rent-seeking by officers, as there will be no interface between assessees and official. In fact, the assessee will not even know the identity of the officer scrutinizing the return. This is an absolute welcome measure but need to be closely watched for implementation. Real estate companies may have reason to cheer, as the generous tax concession for affordable housing may create demand, especially in the small metros. The corporate sector has got a minor statement of purchase, with the turnover limit for the 25% tax bracket being raised to 400 crore per annum from 250 crore. The expectation was that this would be extended to all companies irrespective of size. It appears that the government wants to wait for the finalization of direct tax codes, which has been examined by a committee. The budget includes 10% import duty on newsprint and 5% import duty on printed books. There was no import duty on newsprint so far. To encourage domestic publishing and printing industry, 5% custom duty is being imposed on imported goods. Under this, the printed books, including covers for printed books and printed manuals, will attract duty. In addition, imported newsprint, uncoated paper used for printing of newspaper, and lightweight coated paper used for magazine will now attract 10% custom duty. The government is estimating a fiscal deficit of 3.3% of GDP in financial year 2019-20, lower than the 3.4% estimated earlier in the interim budget presented in February. The main reason for this is an increase on the revenue side while expenditure is being controlled. Rating agencies and tax analysts say that there is a risk of missing the 3.3% target if tax revenue falls short of the target. In a move that will hit the pocket of the common man, the Union Budget 2019-20 proposes hiking the duty and cess on petrol and diesel by Rs 2 per litre each. This means that the special addition duty will go up to rupees 8 per liter for petrol and rupees 2 per liter for diesel. The road and infrastructure cess on petrol will increase to rupees 9 per liter for both fuels. However, industry officials say that the effective increase in the price paid by the consumers will likely be more than rupees 2 per liter. The budget proposes the steps to boost digital payment. To push digital payment, Finance Minister announced multiple measures in her maiden budget, including levying 2% tax deducted at source on cash withdrawals exceeding rupees 1 crore in a year from a bank account. To promote digital payment further, she proposes to take a slew of measures. To discourage the practice of making business payment in cash, she proposed to levy TDS of 2% on cash withdrawal exceeding 1 crore in a year from a bank account, noting that low-cost digital modes of payment such as Beam UPI, UPI QR code, Aadhaar Pay, credit card, debit cards, NEFT and RTGS can also be used to promote a less cash economy. The micro, small and medium enterprise sector has cheered the extension of a lower rate of 25% corporate tax to all companies with an annual turnover of up to 400 crore. The glimpse of the budget is given here and the details of the budget is given in the PDF. Source is The Hindu. The next news is about Gandhipedia. Gandhipedia is being developed in order to sensitize society, particularly the youth, about Gandhian values. With the government marking the 150th birth anniversary of Gandhi, with several programs throughout the year, an encyclopedia like Gandhipedia would be among the efforts to spread his values. The 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi is an apt occasion for us to rededicate ourselves to the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. Honorable Prime Minister took the sankalp of achieving Gandhiji's resolve of Swachh Bharat to make India open defecation free by 2nd October 2019. The Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra would be inaugurated at Gandhi Darshan at Rajghat on October 2nd this year. A Gandhipedia is also being developed by National Council for Science Museums to sensitize youth and society at large about positive Gandhian values. National Council for Science Museum functions under the Union Culture Ministry. Source is The Hindu. The next is about One Nation, One Grid. The national grid is the high voltage electricity network in mainland India, connecting power stations and major substations and ensuring that electricity generated anywhere in mainland India can be used to satisfy demand elsewhere. The national grid is owned, operated and maintained by state-owned Power Grid Corporation of India. It is one of the largest operational synchronous grid in the world with 334.40 gigawatt of installed power generation capacity as on 31st January 2018. There is a plan to build a model of one nation, one grid to ensure availability of power to states at affordable rate. A power sector package is in the offing along with a new tariff policy to ensure uninterrupted power for all. Finance Minister in his budget speech made available a blueprint for developing gas grids, water grids, highways and regional airports. Shedding light on the One Nation One Grid plan for affordable power to state, Finance Minister said the much needed power reforms such as the power tariff reforms should be soon taken up. The government is going to work with the state governments to remove the barriers in the implementation of the ambitious Uday scheme for the turnaround of power distribution companies. The government had launched the Uday scheme in 2015 for the financial and operational turnaround of power discoms. The Finance Minister proposed to set up a high-level empowered committee to look into the retirement of old and inefficient power plants and address low-capacity utilization of gas-based power plants. Source is The Indian Express. The next is about Jeevan Mission. Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs Nirmala Sitharaman said that the Jeevan Mission will focus on the creation of local infrastructure for water sustainability. The newly constituted Jal Shakti Ministry will helm the program. The mission will focus on integrated demand and supply side management of water at the local level, including the creation of local infrastructure for source sustainability like rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge, and management of household water for reuse in agriculture. Har Ghar Jal to all rural household by 2024 comes under Jal Jeevan Mission. Ministry of Jal Shakti, formed by merging of Ministry of Water Resource, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation and Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, is the apex body for formulation and administration of rules and regulations relating to development and regulation of water resources in India. Source is the Indian Express. The next news is about Amarnath Yatra. For the first time ever, on a request from Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has set up a FM radio transmitter on 103.7 MHz frequency at Balthal on the Amarnath route. All India Radio is transmitting regular services on crowd management, weather, health and other alerts. Devotional music is being provided by Ministry of Culture. The same program Amarnath Yatra is made available on Delhi All India Radio service through dedicated leased line and is also available through DTH service all over the country. People can receive the program through DD free dish service. The above musical content is also available through Sangam app developed by the Ministry of Culture, as also Air Live mobile app. Amarnath Cave is a Hindu shrine located in Jammu and Kashmir, India. The shrine forms an important part of Hinduism and is considered to be one of the holiest shrines in Hinduism. The cave itself is covered with snow most of the year except for a short period of time in summer when it opens for pilgrims. Hundreds of thousands of Hindu devotees make an annual pilgrimage to the Amarnath cave across challenging mountainous terrain. Source is Press Information Bureau. Thanks for watching. The PDF of detailed news is given in description. Subscribe our channel for daily news and don't forget to hit the bell icon. See you tomorrow.